All right, guys, it's Monday, January 20th. Big day today. How's it going? We're covering a bunch of stuff. We've got, we're talking about Cadbury launching their 80% recycled plastic packaging. We're going to talk about the growth in metallized film. And we're going to talk about some challenges for Procter & Gamble getting sued because of some false claims. Give us a second. We'll be right back. Yo, what's up, everybody? So we got Adam Peak, People of Packaging Podcast. He's very blurry today. We're censoring his face. And we've got Cory Connors, Sustainable Packaging Podcast. What's up, buddy? How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Amazing. And you got me, Evelio Mattos, Packaging Unboxed Podcast.
Wait, so what's up, Adam? Is this better? If is that it sort of looks like my face. Kind of
tell the difference
with the very sort of opaque, almost like a powder look. Remember that movie?
Yes, good movie.
Yeah, I'm in North County, San Diego, getting to hang out and do some work with my family. How I got involved and started in the packaging industry over at Peak Packaging Solutions. So it's been really fun. I'm looking forward to a couple of good days there. So calling into this show from the home of the owner of Peak Packaging / my dad's brother and my uncle, Bob Peak.
Nice.
Yeah.
Ed and Bob.
Yeah. Ed and Bob. Yeah, it's fair.
That's awesome. And how's North County? Is it like socked in?
It's there's people complain about the weather here just like they do everywhere else, but it's just different. It's like, I don't know, it's going to be kind of cold today. And I'm like, it's going to be 62. I don't know. It's January. Like
shorts and t-shirts for you, but yeah,
I think we're going to be okay.
And sweaters. Yeah.
We're going to survive. Obviously there's a close proximity to the LA fires. And so there is a lot of like anxiety about like, well, are we prepared either? And thanks for letting me know my face is blurry. I'm aware.
He didn't put his makeup on.
Yeah, there's
thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, so I mean there's obviously some anxiety around that. Are we prepared in Orange County and North County? It sounds like there's some containment that's been happening with those fires, but still just a tremendous amount of devastation. And there's a lot of people, if you're not aware, that live from South San Diego all the way up through, even like Santa Barbara. It's a heavy amount of our population. So, I mean, there's still a lot of talk about that, obviously.
Yeah, no, for sure. And of course, I grew up in North County, so I got you. And
you grew up, or you were here for a bit of time?
I lived there for a few years. I did high school. I did military. Yeah, just a little bit of time, like 6-7 years.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, man. So big day today. What's today? We got Martin Luther King. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Big day.
TikTok,
people work.
What's that?
Do people work on MLK Day?
Some people.
I know Myers is closed today to honor and celebrate MLK Day. I mean, I think it's one of those. It's a federal holiday, I believe. I think that the post office and banks are closed.
Yes.
And
our kids are out of school.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, schools are closed. So it's a newer federal holiday, I believe. But we got that. We got the TikTok ban. We have. I
just got back from China. I told you I'd handle that TikTok thing.
You handled it. You did.
Thanks.
They were giving credit to somebody else on the app who might be being inaugurated today, but it is Inauguration Day. I will mention that.
It is.
That's crazy. It was like the shortest ban ever. Like we're banned.
It was like 12 hours, right? Something like that.
Yeah. I don't know what people did for those 12 hours, but
I think America was the most productive it's ever been in the last like 10 years.
To
It's
all
like for
to
those
all the
12
Gen
hours.
to all the Gen Alpha kids out there, if you survive the 12 hours, you're the real superhero. I don't know how you did it, how you made it through.
Yeah.
But
We got
that SNL skit though with that Michael Longfellow guy when he's trying to swipe away Michael Shea. I'm bored.
that's how it is, man. That's life today. We got Professor Cannon saying he's not working on MLK today. Professor Cannon, you can check him out. He does a ton of like Illustrator hacks and some great tips and stuff. So definitely check him out. Yeah, Adam, why are you calling from 2005?
Listen,
you can hear his fax
guys.
machine kick on when he dialed up.
Well, Evelio hit me with the link over my pager, and so
That's
I
right.
had to go get my. I don't know. I should do like a speed test thing and see how the internet is here. Maybe we
You
gotta.
gotta get your like AOL CD out to kick it off.
It.
All right,
Yeah,
man, let's get some packaging.
Let's do it.
All right, so what do we got? We got Morningstar. Global metallized barrier film packaging industry is set to reach $3.7 billion by 2035. What are metallized, flexible film used for in packaging, guys?
Yeah, stand-up pouches, horizontal form, fill, and seal machine. Stick packaging. Oftentimes, like those drink additives. It's a very common use for that, which are becoming more and more popular as people try to hydrate more with those like liquid IV, things like that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you can see, kind of gives you a run.
Death to Plastic found out that they could not kill off plastic when they went to the hydration stick packs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. And so with this, right, they've got this, annualized growth rate of 3.7 for the next 10, 11 years. What happens with some of these new California legislation, laws that are being considered? Which is what, Adam?
Yeah, so California Senate Bill 54. Man, you guys, this is not my internet. All right, I don't know why it's so sad, and I deserve to be roasted. By the way, download is 39 Mbps and upload is 27. So you guys tell me if that's good or not.
I think my Casio watch gets that.
Yeah,
it's probably.
My sundial gets that.
I will own it if it was my decision. If I was like, no, I've decided that this is the lifestyle I would like to live. So California Senate Bill 54 is the law that, as of today, how it's written, which is why I'm here, obviously, to report on California's
right.
But
on scene,
it's going to ban. I'm on scene, yes. It's going to ban that type of film. So I don't fully understand how that report by 2035 says we're going to see all this growth when the fifth largest economy currently says that material will be banned. And the reason it will be is because the formation of the material, you have typically, if it's going to be a metallized film, you have the inside layer, which is the seal layer, which has to be able to come in direct food contact. That's used in a lot of food packaging. So you have the sealing layer, but then you have to keep the oxygen and the moisture out, which a metallized film or a metallized PET would go in the middle to kind of, and then on the outside of that, you have your print layer, right? So you might have a clear or a white film on the outside of it. So you have these mixed films that come together to create a really incredible structure because it's lightweight, it's cheap, it's enabled a lot of innovation and technology, but it's not recyclable. Even the mono materials, the recycling rate is tough because it goes through the store drop off. So it's yet to be determined if Cal Recycles is even going to approve the mono material structures to go through and be chemically recycled. So, that's kind of what's going on.
And then, with that same thing, you've got, 2,000 cases of chicken broth sold at Walmart have been recalled because of the packaging. This is Tetra Pak type packaging, which isn't the flexible film, but it does have the barrier protection on the interior of that stuff, where it is that metallized film. Kind of going through some of that stuff there was like, metallized film is only good up to a certain point. If there's high levels of UV exposure or heat, it starts breaking down and starts, the barrier properties start degrading, which I didn't realize. And I don't do a lot of barrier stuff, so I don't do a lot of food.
Yeah, well said, Hugh. It's true. My understanding on the metallized films is they are getting thinner and thinner to the point where they're being sprayed on rather than it's a separate layer, if you will, like that is. And it's so thin that it's now being considered recyclable because the recyclers are able to pull out that metal and from the other polymers. Now, I don't know how accurate that is. If people are really able to recycle these, they say Tetra Paks are recyclable, and the MRFs that I've visited have said they can be recycled if they're consolidated enough and it's a right kind of facility, but I think there's a lot. It's kind of a TBD situation as to how recyclable these things are. And I think that's what a lot of these EPR laws are hoping to gain, earn money for, is to these new facilities that will be able to recycle that kind of material, that kind of multi-layer film and material.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if they're going to go ahead.
The Tetra Pak thing is an interesting one because it has, at least it's not been accepted widely in curbside paper recycling. And the hard part is that they have a really great story in other areas, right? They ship in flat. They can allow you to fill liquids and ship them shelf stable. So if you think about all of the carbon impact of that, I didn't even think about that, right? You see liquids just sitting there on a shelf. They're not being in a refrigerated truck. They don't have to be stored in a refrigerated, like climate controlled, really cool. They don't have to go to a store. Like the whole thing is like, this is really great. The problem is that consumers only see the end of the life, right? They don't actually think about all of that stuff.
Right.
And it's like, well, no, we would rather have it in a recyclable package. And it's like, okay, but
here's everything else that happens.
Now it's only good for 2 months on the shelf instead of 2 years. Yeah.
Or it's not
and you have to refrigerate it.
It's got to go to the refrigeration section, and that's going to use energy, and that's going to use it. And to make it get there, like there's a whole supply chain. If you've ever had to like schedule a refrigerated truck and find a 3PL with refrigeration, it's like there's a lot of energy that's used.
They call them
a reefer truck, which is different in California than it is in, say, Utah.
Yeah. I mean, there's a ton that goes into it, but Tom Herman's right. Like, doesn't matter how recyclable it is if nobody's doing the recycling, right? I don't know that EPR is going to pay for new facilities to recycle these difficult to recycle materials when we're not even recycling the stuff that is easily recycled at a high enough rate. And it's like we just create more challenges. I would rather we just spend the money and recycle more of what we're able to recycle today.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Increase those rates and just create more of an issue.
The other issue with what Tom said real quick is, doesn't matter how recyclable it is if there's no end market to the recycled materials, because that's
if there's no value, right?
All of this stuff can be recycled. It's not as though we don't know how to technically recycle these things. That's not a secret. We know how to do it. But if the recyclers can make $0, or if it costs them more to collect it than what they can sell and to process it and to turn it into something, and then they go to sell it and it's less, you can't have a business. The economics are wrong. And so that if there's no demand for it, then it's not, it doesn't really matter. So it's a whole thing.
Yeah. And we got
Balasubramanian.
Yes, Balasubramanian. Hello, everyone. Use coated paper oil resistant and water resistant wrapping, and it can be recycled. Yeah, but there's limits on that material. versus, in terms of the barrier and the requirements. Milk and juice have been accepted widely, and it's recyclable. Yeah, it really depends on where you are geographically and the expectations of the packaging, right? So, like we were talking about the Tetra Pak, that stuff will sit on the shelf for years, and it'll be fine.
Which is amazing. That's amazing. Yeah. That's such a huge value,
And I'm not a fan of Tetra Pak. I actually quite dislike that. I feel it's similar to Tyvek, Tyvek from DuPont, which is technically recyclable, but if you kind of dig into the material spec data sheet, it'll tell you that it is recyclable, but you have to mail it back to DuPont because they're the only ones that have the process to recycle it. So it is recyclable, but now I've got to mail it, and who knows if they're even collecting it. It's unrealistic.
Yeah.
So that's the issue.
Which is why it's a great product for building houses, but maybe not for packaging, right? Right.
But people really love the way it feels, so they like, I want to put this in my packaging. So there's a ton of Tyvek out there for in packaging and mailers and that kind of stuff, and people love the way it feels and the way it looks, but then it's got a recycling symbol on it, so people throw it in their curbside, and then it goes to landfill, right? It creates confusion out there. Next up, we've got to kind of just talk about materials recyclability. We've got this Cadbury launches their 80% recycled plastic packaging, and this is just in the UK, where they're kind of rolling out these bars with 80% recycled plastic. When it comes to food safe packaging, it's typically not recycled, but in this case, they're using chemical recycling, which breaks it down to the original material. Basically, it's just as clean as virgin material.
Wow. But 300 million. Wow, that's a lot of bars.
Yeah. Allegedly, right? It says ultimately it's the equivalent of about 600 tons. It's the equivalent. It's not necessarily claiming that that's what it is. The problem with this stuff, and it's kind of buried down here, is
wait. Can you go up? Can you go up real quickly? I love Amfinity recycled plastics. Sometimes I'm like, they're sitting around in a corporate room, like, what are we going to call this? It's like, well, aluminum is saying infinity. It's like, we're Amcor, we're Amfinity. I don't know. It drives me crazy.
So again, like, this stuff is basically the same as virgin because it's allegedly broken down to that level. The one thing in here that I saw that was pretty interesting was here.
Yeah.
Right. It's not possible to identify the amount of plastic that's recycled in the individual packaging wrappers, if any, right? Because it looks the same. So you can claim however much you want, but what they're doing is they're measuring how much feedstock goes in versus virgin material, and then that's what they're basing it on. And then they're asking you to recycle it again. But if there's no collection, it kind of goes back to Tom's point. If there's no collection of this material, then what's the point?
Is it store drop off? Is that how?
It doesn't go into how to package, how to recycle it. It says the platform's resources include the Recycle Now recycling locator from the UK. So, you got to.
If this has anything to do with the UK plastics tax. If they're able to collect more plastic to be used for PCR. And could this be an example of what we were actually talking about, which is the plastic tax creates a supply of plastics because it's, we're now able to collect it and you respond. That's kind of what EPR is trying to do. And now there's demand both from the market and from the product to have this 80% PCR that maybe they can now get for an equivalently close cost. So,
but the thing is this, and this makes me. I had a conversation with Paper Mill last week on this while over in China, and it was, you can claim however much recycled content you want in paper and plastic because there's no way to check. Right. So you can have paper that says it's 100% post-consumer waste recycled. There's no way to know. There's no test that you can do. There's absolutely nothing. You can look for short fibers, but short fibers can come from different trees. It doesn't necessarily mean it's recycled. If you're looking at it and there's ink in there, then maybe that's a signifier that it's been printed on. Doesn't necessarily mean it's post-consumer. It could be post-industrial.
Mhm.
And there's a lot of ways around this stuff. So it's all a matter of trust and then having certification from companies that don't do audits on everything, right? So it's a lot of, I don't know, you're kind of counting on the manufacturers to be honest here.
Mhm. Maybe that's why it's so valuable and expensive to get SFI certified and all these different forestry initiatives, that are monitoring the locations of the fibers.
But they're not. But they're counting on manufacturers reporting,
Mhm.
right? And that's the thing. Is like there's no real way to know.
Yeah.
Well, and there's no FSC or SFI for PCR. Look at all of our fun acronyms we're using.
Yeah.
You know,
The
to Evelio's
VIP.
point, there's no,
AP.
yeah, we can't. We're not even tracking OPP.
But on
But-
this Cadbury thing, it says that the packaging is also ISCC certified, which I don't even know what that is.
International
Sustainability.
Sustainability Carbon Coalition. I have no idea.
So
Did Cory get frozen, or is my internet still really bad?
Cory is just smiling away.
Okay.
He's having a great time, right, Cory? Yeah. See, he's just smiling. We'll bring him back when he.
I was trying to make him feel welcome.
But here's all right. So then, next story, we've got P&G facing lawsuits alleging misleading environmental claims on toilet paper packaging.
Yes.
Hey, Cory's back. All right. So it goes to the same thing, right? It goes right to the same point we're making there is there's a lawsuit here that alleges that Unpack environmental claims about its toilet paper are masking widespread deforestation practices.
I like how they say eco-friendly buzzwords and hazy FSC. I'm like, FSC is not hazy. That's an auditable process.
Yeah, but it's if you ask consumers, they don't know what it means.
I know that, but I'm saying it's not as
Cory
though. Bye, Cory.
Oh, he just left.
It's not as though a forest stewardship certification is hazy. It's really easy to go look that up if a consumer wanted to. I think that's a little sketchy. That's part of it, but I'll say this about lawsuits: anybody can sue anybody for anything. Like so being accused of something and going into a lawsuit is not. And I'm not like a P&G or Charmin backer. I just think that
I love Charmin. It's
I like the commercials, with the bear. But I think it just goes to show that for other brands, like you have to be careful about what you claim. And while I have obviously, joked a lot about like these claims of like infinitely recyclability and stuff like that, and made really dumb videos, it is a claim that I'm surprised hasn't been taken that it hasn't been taken to lawsuit, because if P&G is going to be sued over saying that something is FSC certified paper, what do you think is going to happen to Ball Corporation for saying that something is infinitely recyclable? Like that, one of those things is provable FSC certification. The other is not Charmin back.
Dude, I was thinking the same thing, Kirk. but it doesn't. The bears don't go in the woods. They go in their house somehow,
That's true.
And they don't get the little white pieces of toilet paper on
there.
They
use toilet paper.
Yeah. I always thought the bears would wipe with a rabbit, right? If you've heard the joke. The bear asks the rabbit, hey, does poo stick to your fur? And the rabbit's like, nope. So the bear grabs him and does the old wiperoo. But the thing about this lawsuit isn't so much about FSC, it's that they created their own.
That was the thing I thought was interesting.
They created their own certification. They put this icon on their packaging, and but I can't find it here. But basically, they created a certification that with an icon that looks like an existing certification, and the lawsuit claims that they're just greenwashing and they're using old growth forest.
StreamYard keeps kicking out Cory. So it says here in the article, it says attorneys argue since Rainforest Alliance no longer certifies pulp products, P&G helped found its new Forest Allies program to utilize an altered but nearly identical seal, with the difference between the two never made clear to consumers. So that's what they're being accused of, is they took out one seal, they replaced it with another that is entirely self-governing, which would be, potentially misleading.
Yeah.
I think Chris, to Chris's comment here, I think about the Tommy Boy. I can take a dump in a box and mark it guaranteed.
Yeah. Let's kind of go through some of these. Hey, Cory's back. What's up, buddy?
Guess who's back?
FSC is not, Balasubramanian says FSC is not so easy as people think. A lot of bookkeeping proving the paper comes from FSC. Wooden pallets from FSC source need to be counted. Yep, absolutely. I know for our facility, we've got like a whole wing of just where FSC goes. It doesn't even overlap or track into the areas where non-FSC papers are. So there's no potential for, mislabeling, but there's nobody there to audit. Like they'll come in, as needed, but on a day-to-day basis, it's all on you. Tom saying if DuPont would really recycle it, if you shipped it to them, would carbon financing help to cover the cost of shipping materials and theoretically recyclable back to the manufacturer?
Carbon financing is an interesting, just carbon accounting in general, I find to be quite confusing. And speaking of accountability, there's not a lot of accountability yet in oversight with carbon accounting and carbon financing. So there are accusations of people selling off, X amount of carbon credits and then selling it off to another person. And there's no real traceability for it yet. So
nobody's regulating that, right?
It's a funky thing, like buying carbon offsets is, I'm not saying it's the worst thing ever. It's just not as simple as people think it is.
Yeah, let's take this question here from Professor Dr. Barry.
Yeah, Barry.
I don't know what the LRRD stand for, but so ask. I'm not a plastics guy, so this goes to you guys. I want to ask you for
where's the CEO?
Sustainability plastic packaging for support economy circular base on standard ISO. I'm gonna be honest, I don't understand those first 6 words. For support economy circular base on standard ISO 59000, what kinds of parameters testing for sustainability plastic packaging for support economy circular base on standard?
Dr. Barry, what I would recommend is a certified test lab. So we have, like here in the US, we have like packaging compliance labs. You can go to these labs. I don't know, what it is across the world, but I always recommend people when they want specific testing to go to an independent lab, and to not necessarily rely on the testing from a supplier of whatever this material might be. To the point on why is P&G getting sued? It's because they created their own testing and their own certification. They said, look, we're certified instead of a third party. So the questions do kind of go hand in hand. Like, find a good third party testing lab, tell them what your parameters are and what you need to have, and they'll give you a yes or no, and you pay them for it, but you want that third party data.
They could reach out to US Plastics Pact for some information on that. That would be a good source of information.
Yeah, good place to start.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Any last words?
You guys should join us every day. We do this for 10
Yeah.
minutes, Tuesday through Friday. People have started to kind of chime in, but same time, same bat channel, just not for 30 minutes. So we break down one story for 10 minutes. It's like a packaging today short, but it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you can go on the LinkedIn page for the event, and you can click on add to your calendar, so it gives you the reminders. But same time every day, 7:30 Pacific Standard Time, whatever time that is for you. Join us; it'd be great to see you. And then Cory and I will be in Paris Packaging Week next week. So if you're in Paris or you're heading over to the Paris Packaging Week, let us know. We'd love to see you.
Bonjour.
The internet's better in Paris.
The internet is way better
Than
in Paris.
Carlsbad.